Steph has never needed to do that. What Russ had to do the year KD left or the year KD was injured. What Harden had to do his first year in Houston and the year before they got Chris Paul in Houston, which is be an offense unto himself. Say, listen, can't win a title, but we're going to get to 45 wins plus. We're going to get to the playoffs, and it's going to be all through me. Steph's never had to do that. And what I fear we're going to find out this year is that's very good because he can't.
All right, man. We're about 20-something games into the season, and it's really that time where, like, we know pretty much everything we need to know. We know what teams are good. We know what teams aren't. Sure, you know, with the newer rosters, there's still some stuff that we have to figure out, but for the most part, we know who's the top dogs, really that middle-class dogs, and the trash dogs that really need help. Even though the season is still pretty young, we have an all-star break to get to. Trades are going to happen. Players are going to be on different teams. We understand that. I just want to talk about what the season so far has taught us, and basically players, teams, movements, what we can kind of gather from watching about 24 to 25 games. Now, really quickly, make sure you guys have your notifications on and make sure you guys are following my Twitter. That's all I care about. My IG, yeah, that's cool. My Twitter is where I'm at, and I'm always keeping y'all updated with my every single day thoughts. Make sure you guys are following my Twitter, turn on post notifications, and without further ado, man, let's get into the video. The Miami Heat last year, they completely shocked the world by making the NBA Finals. When they got Jimmy Butler, I don't think anybody, even Miami Heat fans, nobody thought that was an NBA championship move. Like, that was a move that was going to put them to an NBA Finals level, and it did. Not only did they make the NBA Finals, bro, clearly as the inferior team against the Lakers, they battled. And they was battling endless injuries. Their three best players, or three most important players, Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo, all battle injuries, and they still pushed them to 6 games. So big respect for that. But at the current time of me making this video, they're sitting as the 12th seed in pretty much a weak, top-heavy Eastern Conference. Now, obviously, a lot of that has to do with injuries and players being in and out with the virus and all that. But even with that being said, they've had some embarrassing losses even when their players were there. Now, last year, we all pretty much know the narrative of that Miami Heat team. A lot of people called their run fluky. I think even GMs came out with a poll and they said it was fluky, and people attributed their success pretty much to the virus, the bubble, and the circumstances of the NBA at the time. Me personally, I couldn't call it fluky because they did win decisively. Every single game they had in the playoffs, in the East at least, they won pretty much by a solid margin, and they only lost 3 games in the whole East in the playoffs last year. But I would attribute it a lot to the current state, or the previous state, of the Eastern Conference at that specific time. Last year, Philly was a mess. Like, their personnel was bad. Al Horford was a bad signing. They had the wrong coach. They had no floor spacing. And then to top it off, Joel Embiid got hurt in the playoffs, so they just fell completely off. Brooklyn, as we all know, KD and Kyrie wasn't there. Milwaukee, the best team in the East last year, it was like they peaked a little bit too early. And right before the season closed, you know, for the virus and all that, they went on a 3-game losing streak. Then they came back, and bro, I couldn't even recognize them. I remember Chris Middleton said he didn't pick up a ball the entire break. Bro, it seemed like he was talking about the whole team because that's how it felt. They finished their regular season in the bubble 3-5, got embarrassed by Orlando in game 1, and then they just ran into a steaming hot Miami team with a perfect game plan for Giannis. Then they ran into a Boston team in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm not trying to make any excuses for Boston, but at least to me, to my eye, their makeup and chemistry always felt a little bit weird to me. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Gordon Hayward, that trio always felt weird to me because they basically all play the exact same position. Then you add Kemba Walker basically trying to replace Kyrie Irving, which is very hard. And even to this day, he's still struggling to find his groove as a Celtic. And just all that mixed together just made them a very vulnerable team, and Miami took advantage of it. Miami's run to the NBA Finals, I wouldn't necessarily call it fluky, bro. That just feels disrespectful as hell. But I will say they were a team with a lot of chemistry and momentum, basically taking advantage of a very vulnerable Eastern Conference. It's not their fault, but that's what they did, and they capitalized off it, so give them their credit. But that was the situation. Stephen Curry, and I still can't believe I still have to do this, bro, but I do. He's the best point guard, and to me, the best guard in the world. A lot of times, people like to have these comparisons, Steph versus this guy, Steph versus that guy, and truly, there's no comparison. Remember when Kenny, and I can't believe he said this, but Kenny so disrespectfully said this.
Hey, Steph.
How do you like that three
Steph,
from, 36 feet?
I don't think you could shoot as deep as him, Steph. I got to see it when you come back.
And remember at the beginning of the year, after playing with the worst starting lineup in the sport, especially how Oubre and Wiggins was playing at that moment, and playing Brooklyn and Milwaukee on the road to start your year off after missing a whole year. Remember when everybody was making it seem like every game was a game for his legacy? Since those two games, these are Stephen Curry's numbers, bro. These are his numbers. And mind you, these are his numbers facing double teams, traps. I know Andrew Wiggins has been a lot better, but without another player that can truly get his own bucket at any time, so he's still the center focus of every single defense, facing triple team, all that stuff. This is what he's been doing since y'all made this man mad. Please, let's stop this argument. It's no debate. Stephen Curry is the second best point guard ever. The 76ers are quietly having a very successful season after quietly having a very successful offseason. Getting rid of Al Horford's terrible, I never understood a contract, signing Dwight Howard off the bench for rim protection and athleticism as a big, getting Danny Green for better floor spacing and perimeter defense, and replacing what I thought was like their worst loss ever, JJ Redick, with Seth Curry for more floor spaces for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They had a real good offseason. Now, with a lot more room to operate and way less congestion, we're seeing how dominant Joel Embiid truly can be. But I think we all knew, like, it didn't take long to see Joel Embiid is different. Like, he was always great. I want to talk about Ben Simmons really quickly. Ben Simmons, he was always thought to be like this heir apparent to like Magic Johnson and LeBron James. Ben Simmons, his rookie year, it was so damn dominant, especially for a rookie, that fans couldn't help but to anticipate greatness out of the future. Like, we thought he was going to progress and get a jump shot and possibly be LeBron Magic-like, but it just hasn't happened yet. Now that we're 4 years in, I feel like we're all starting to realize his ceiling is a lot lower than we originally thought. Like, we all compared him to Magic and LeBron, and based off his rookie year, you understand why. But now that I've watched him as the years have gone by, I think he's more of a bigger, taller, more athletic Draymond style of player, Draymond Green style of player. And that's no disrespect. People that think Draymond and think automatically of trash cans and think he's trash, they're casuals. They don't understand basketball. I just tweeted this, bro. Not too many times are you going to be able to look at box scores and stat sheets and all that, averages and all that, and truly see the impact of a player like Draymond Green, and to some extent, the exact same of Ben Simmons. Both of these players as point forwards, they both have clear, glaring deficiencies, and they play to it. They know their weaknesses, and for that exact reason, they always make the right play. It's not always going to be on the stat sheet. It's not always going to be an assist. A lot of times it's hockey assists, especially with Draymond. Look at the Warriors team assist. That's Draymond Green. Both of these players, especially Draymond, I think we all understand they have a low ceiling as far as them actually scoring the ball, but they both defend at an extremely high level, all 5 positions, and they set everybody else up to eat offensively perfectly. Like, that's how they impact the game. It's unorthodox, but they're still great in their respective ways. When James Harden first got traded to Brooklyn, we all thought, like, how is this going to work, bro? It's only one ball. Kyrie Irving and James Harden are both ball dominant. How is this going to come together? But at least with James Harden, I think we all had the wrong mindset. Mind you, this man has never won like KD and Kyrie did. So he didn't get fat to go to Brooklyn and do all that stuff he did just to get there and basically make it Houston 2.0. Sure, you know, stars want their averages and they want numbers and all that, but James Harden has done all that, bro. He has an MVP. He damn near averaged 40 points in the season before. Right now, like thus far, he's all in on playing the style they need for the betterment of the team. James Harden right now, he's basically running point guard as a part-time six man. Like, it's very similar to OKC James Harden. He'll start the game with KD and Kyrie, but then Steve Nash would basically take him out and leave KD and Kyrie in, then take those two out and put James Harden in with the second unit with Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, TLC, and DeAndre, and he's thriving in that role. I still don't like James Harden off ball. Like, he's still terrible to me off ball. He stands around, doesn't really move much and all that. But he's completely buying into the role they have set for him, and he's maximizing it. So you have to give him credit for that. And lastly, and kind of off script, and I really want, if you made it this far, I really want you to hear me on this one, bro. I want to talk about Russell Westbrook and Blake Griffin and LeBron James. What's happening to Blake Griffin and to a lesser degree Russell Westbrook right in front of our eyes, like I think we're seeing the decline of them mainly because of their injuries and athleticism and all the wear and tear it took on their bodies, all that stuff and what they're going through right now. It's just a true testament to me of how great the evolution of LeBron James truly is. All three of these players, right, and to a lesser degree LeBron, but all three of these players for the most part, all three of them were athletic based coming out of college. Well, not college for LeBron, but you know what I mean. All three of them, for the most part, their games were centered around how athletic they truly were. But the difference between LeBron and the other two, Blake Griffin and Russell Westbrook, their game stayed that way. They always relied heavily on their athleticism and how high they can jump in dunks and posters and all that. And LeBron's didn't. Russell Westbrook in his prime as a 6'3" point guard, bro, he put his body through a lot of stress. The dunks, attacking the basket, the ferociousness, the yelling, banging on the floor, the hitting the floor, all that stuff. He put his body through it. And I think at 32 years old, now he's feeling it. Russell Westbrook in his prime, and Blake Griffin, but mainly Russell. I'm thinking about Russell right now. In his prime, he's always been most lethal attacking the paint. Every single time he goes to the paint, everybody has to look at him and collapse on him, and then he opens up passer or three-point shooters and all that. He's always been most dangerous attacking the paint. As that part of his game kind of went down with the injuries and people aren't as afraid of him because they know he doesn't leap that high and his free throw shooting kind of went down, his game went down. He doesn't really have much of a perimeter game, and that makes him to some degree ineffective. Now, on the other side, right? If you look at LeBron this year, and to be honest, bro, it's a crime to even be comparing these three players because it's just not fair, but I'm just highlighting the greatness of LeBron. If you look at LeBron this year, right, he's shooting 40% from three. Like, that's unheard. 40% from three with LeBron, that's a deadly-ass LeBron. I know he did it before, but, bro, it's crazy. He's shooting his fourth lowest attempts in the paint. The only three that were lower was his first 2 years in the league and his first year in Miami when he was trying to figure out his role and all that. This year and last year, he's shooting his two lowest free throw attempts per game of his career. Why is that? He's playing further and further away from the basket. That's the evolution of LeBron. If you look at LeBron, when he was averaging his most free throw attempts and all that, it was when he was the most athletic and his game was most athletic based. Now I feel like it's more IQ based and basically experience based. Like, he knows when to choose his spots, when not to, when to be aggressive, when to be passive. Like, he knows everything. This is why I agree with D-Wade. I think this is the best LeBron ever. I'm not even talking about, directly as numbers. Somebody's going to say, nah, 2012, 2013 was the best LeBron. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about highlights. I'm not talking about dunks. I'm just talking about specifically his effectiveness. I know it's not really fair because I know Russell Westbrook is battling injuries and Blake Griffin, that man just hit a wall. But when I look at two players that's so athletic based and I look at LeBron, who he's still athletic, like he can show you flashes of it, and he's still athletic, but he doesn't need it. Like, he doesn't really need it and rely on it like those two do. It just shows you how great the evolution of this man was. And I just had to make that point real quick. If you guys like this video, and really quickly, but matter of fact, don't click off. If you guys like this video and if you made it this far, because I really want to see who my real ones are, comment Tom Brady is the GOAT. Just comment Tom Brady is the GOAT really quickly. I just want to see how many people actually made it to the end and watched me as I was rambling and all that. Like I said, man, follow my Twitter, do all that great stuff, guys. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications. I have a lot more videos coming. I'm on a new schedule now, so do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.